why many companies renounce their responsibility for soft skill development, and what could we do about this? Hello and welcome to Communication Psychology and HR. My name is Gerhard. I'm a psychologist from Hamburg, Germany, here in the Republic of Moldova. I work at the university almost for 20 years. I'm specialized in international, intercultural and multi-language contexts. From the client perspective, I'm not interested in the concrete employee. And many companies have the attitude that, well, it's the responsibility of the employee to update, refresh their skills. And especially regarding soft skills. So soft skills are called soft for a reason, because it's a slightly negative term to differentiate them from the real hard skills you need to do the job. But actually, as much research shows, those so-called soft skills are really decisive in keeping customers, because soft skills are interpersonal skills. How to communicate, to listen and show respect. And in a world where services become more or less the same, like I'm not able to tell the difference between the maybe 15 banks existing here in the Republic of Moldova. So what's better in one bank or the other bank? But what I can see as a customer is the atmosphere, how I'm treated by a concrete representative of the company. And many companies now, because we are again in crisis mode, they start to cut there where it seems it's easy to cut. And employee development in many countries already seems like a nice to have, but not must. So we start by reducing any kind of activity regarding soft skill development. And I'm not talking necessarily about outsourcing it and buying expensive training. But in general, it's not the focus in times of crisis. And that's a big mistake, because in a crisis, the consumer is very, very careful where he wants to spend his ever limited money. So if I have enough money to buy things, I don't really care about the service. It doesn't really matter. But if I have little money and I need to go slightly farther away, but I feel treated better with more respect, then I will do this. And so, especially in times of crisis, those so-called soft skills are even more important. What many companies do, even if they realize this, is they try somehow to shift the responsibility or the burden of improving their soft skills on the employee. Of course, one way is to say, well, we give you books, please read those books. We have a company library, or we send a newsletter and make book recommendations, or we have a company book club, which is all very good. Or we have an internal learning platform. So we have courses you can take at home, watch them, and become better in them. That's also good. But in the end, if you just wait for the employee to do this, and you delegate this to the employee, and why are you doing this? Of course, because it's cost effective. So we don't take work time to participate in those activities. They need to do that at home. And for the employee, this is an extra activity. It's like so-called organizational citizen behavior. And in a crisis also, am I really in a mode after 8 or 10 hours of work to sit down at home and log in into the company's academy or read books. So I would think, as the lazy German employee that I am, I would say, well, if you want me to learn this, then please allocate some time during my work hours. If you don't do this, you yourself are giving a signal that that's not really a priority for you. Yeah? What happens from the customer side, I don't care if this employee had so many chances to learn online in the evening or read books. What I care about is the service I get. And it's the company's responsibility. So the employee is the visit card of your company. We know this, but often we don't act like this. So if we cut like also salaries, often we have the lowest salaries for people who are in direct contact with the client, and we have sometimes higher salaries for people who are far away from the client. And so we have disgruntled, disenchanted, frustrated salespersons or customer managers. It's very difficult for them to transmit any kind of enthusiasm for the company if they themselves feel that the company doesn't invest in them, because in the end, lots of HR managers and CEOs, they are a bit, and rightly so, suspicious of many training activities in the area of soft skills. But it's not that you need to have immediate results. First, well, if we assume that the quality is excellent of all training, even if the training itself was excellent, to apply this at your workplace, you need first to have some conditions that reinforce the new skills. You need to have opportunities during the job to practice in continuation. So does your company have such a system? For example, in many trainings you do some kind of role play. But this role play is some minutes, and it's just a preview of what you should do weekly in the company. So it's just a demonstration of a technique that you could implement weekly in your company. For example, especially in sales teams. But not all sales teams do this weekly. So those skills during the training, they will wither away after some days, and HR managers will complain about the low quality of the training or lack of participation. And also, lots of trainings have information, experiences they need to mature. So after the training, it takes some time until I really absorb, it gets me. So during that time, also, what support do I get from the company to mature further? So what also happened is that we think that we can solve all those issues by technology. But our customers, they will always give a premium for our human contact. So how's the quality of the human contact in your company? So what feeling do I get? And especially in companies that are more results driven, and we jump on new technology, like, for example, instead of creating a space where people feel psychologically safe and share information on their own, we create platforms like, for example, Notion, or where people are forced to store information. So we think that by the system, we can overcome the tendency of people to not leave their knowledge in the organization. Or we make online surveys on employee satisfaction. Instead of taking a few, not all employees, and spend half a day with them and try to create a format and try to get to know them a bit deeper and what their concerns are. The same with customers. It's one thing to ask customers about the soft skills of the employees, like how well did you feel treated here, and they put a smiley like on airport toilets and so on. But the level of information is very superficial, and you get all kinds of different effects distorting the real information. So people have tendencies to click always in one direction, everything is good or everything is bad. And then you get people who are indifferent, people who don't understand the question, and people who are angry and click wherever they want. And sometimes the non-technological solution to getting information about customers or employees would give much more reliable and valuable results. So what to do about this? I think that technology is good, but we always need to have a balanced approach where the company dedicates or signals that it dedicates enough time to human concerns, to human development, so that there's always some time for non-scripted conversations, trainings or events that are often moderated, where people participate in elaborating ideas, feedback, where they don't feel it's just them passively clicking on some survey, how do you like this, and so on, but where they feel they can co-create the organizational culture themselves. And the same with customers. Of course, you must say most customers in my country, they are not interested in helping the company. First, you need to ask why. It means they don't have a big attachment to the company. The same employees. Now, our employees don't care about this. Well, that's a big sign of alarm. And of course, maybe 99% of customers will never be interested, but maybe there's 1% of customers that is highly knowledgeable, educated, insightful, that would be very, very useful to tap into. And for example, there are some marketing consultants internationally, of course that's very high price for big brands. They sometimes live in families of the company's customer. So they want really to feel how does life feel from their perspective. And the same with employees. How does somebody feel applying to your company the first weeks? Like maybe people do with mystery shoppers, but also with employees. And you will get so much more information than which you get from statistical surveys where people click yes or no or give points. And based on more reliable information, objective information, then you can restructure your whole human resources, efforts, soft skill development based on objective reality. What customers really feel about your service, not how much smileys you get, and not what people share on message boards, which is also good. But this is always there's always a distortion there, and people try to avoid human-to-human conversations in HR and in selling. So if there is a tool that allows selling without speaking to people, companies are happy. About chatbots, if there's a way not to speak to employees, then we are very happy. So a bit provocative, what do you think? Please share your experiences and see you next week. Bye bye.